the whole, Jesus, I've got to do it all again. No, you're kidding me. Hi, King of Kings. You must have seen it in my body language. Oh, Jesus, I've got to start again. Why? Okay, let me try again. I'm talking about the ascension. Watch the Awakening 138, 139. Hi. I'm talking about perfectionism. I'm talking about character defects. Does this bother you? If so, why? Why? Why does it bother you that I'm a mess today? Why? Because I quite like it. It would really piss off my mum. Oh my God, Lauren, what a mess. Look at you. I'm a bit wounded. 44, you're a baby. You see? He thinks he's old at 44. This is hilarious. Who told you that? What we're talking about anyway. Ego is everywhere. And please watch the Awakening 139. I am telling you to take your music, your painting, your art, and put everything into it now. Right? While the energies are insane. Don't wait for the calm Jasara and Sarah. Do it now. Do it now. And you can just get up. And I'm telling you, oh, I've got to tell you everything again, but I'm talking about Jim Morrison. He broke on through to the other side, yeah? That's your chance now to do that. The darkness in you, the fear, the frustration, the anger. Don't apologize to anyone yet. Put it into your music. What does it feel like to have all that ego that doesn't want to apologize? I don't want to apologize to you. Fuck you. Sorry. I'm not supposed to say it. Fuck you. But I don't want to apologize to you. Why should I apologize to you? You're the one that treated me like shit. Oh, no, you treated me like shit. Oh, no, let's have a war. Let's kill each other. See what I mean? See where this is going? You're going to get nowhere with the ego. But if you take that now and you put that into your painting or into your violin, you know what I mean? Into your violin, a violin or a dum, 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 dum. You put that rage into your piano. Get your piano, get your accordion, get your violin, or get your voice. Now, your piano, your violin, your voice, they're nothing. They're just like this, nothing. They're just air. They're not even air, because they're real. That you created the body. The voice. What is it? It's sinew. It's fat and sinew. And what's it made of? Just bits of muscles. Little, that's all it is. The voice, like the strings on a guitar. It's not going to affect you in any way unless it's used with air and energy in a certain way. I could do this. Guess what happens? You will start to relax. Or I could do this. Dorian, and you'll wake up. Do you see what I mean? Music could be God, your higher power. Why not? Now, this voice cannot be God or my higher power because it's just because it's all it is bones and sinewy. And if I don't sleep properly, if I don't eat, if I don't rest, then this will break. It will not work. So it cannot be God. It cannot be the higher power. Do you get it? The piano that you have can break. These things can break. Music can be, I'll tell you again. Listen, is this music? Of course it is. It's music. That's rhythm. Let me tell you a story. When I went in the army, when I was about 18, I had to go in the army. And I never forget it because I never realized how spiritual I was even then. And as a musician, I never realized I was a natural, I could compose a whole orchestra because I could hear it without even needing to, I couldn't write it, but I could hear it, the music. And I remember saying to someone, that photocopy machine, you know what I mean? I could hear the music in the photocopy machine. And she thought I was mad. Music is everywhere, guys. Everywhere. Wayne Dyer calls says if you read his book, I can't remember which one it is. It's not pulling your own strings. You will believe it when you see it. That's it. You will see it when you believe it. Sorry, it's the opposite. You will see it when you believe it. He talks about being a universe. One song. Universe, where we all join together as one song. Unfortunately, we have a cacophony, but harmony is so beautiful because it complements we complement each other with harmony. The way when we come together, we complement each other. But again, who's to say that noisy music isn't music? It's still music. Everyone is different, and it's a neutral thing. So that's what I'm saying. Use it now. Use what you are, your creativity. I've been in bed all day. I could not get up today. I could not do anything. I was so ill. I just stayed in bed and I meditated and I slept and meditated, and Spirit told me to get up today and to talk about what I'm talking about and to give you calm through my singing voice, which I'm going to do in a minute, just some sound to calm everything down, because we are living in insane times. But bring it to the table. If you're an artist, get that piece of paper. That is your higher power. That pencil is your higher power. And draw. Draw your madness. Draw, not madness, there is no madness. Draw your fear, draw your anger, draw your frustration, draw your joy, draw everything that's going on inside the mind and the body. Draw. If you're a musician, sing it. If you're an actor, act it. You know, that's why I loved going on the stage as Piaf and Maria. And that's why I miss it so much, because if anyone saw me, they were electrified when they saw me on the stage, because it was so real. I did the breakdowns on the stage and they applauded me. And I miss it so much. But thank God I've got moving on TV. And so you are watching. And the ego went mad yesterday. Do you know why the ego went mad? Because someone dared to tell me that £20 was too much to charge for a registration to belong to Moving On Theatre. It was just unbelievable how I got triggered from some kid who has done absolutely nothing with their lives to say to me, I showed you what I've done. From the age of 6, I've been on the stage. But what I'm saying is that's the ego. That's the ego. So you need to use it. So I'm saying to you guys, don't wait for Nasara and Asara. Use it now. You know how Heart Vision was recorded? There was no studio. There were no microphones. Nothing. I explain it all in The Awakening. It was done after the Biodynamics bed. Watch The Awakening 139. Or 138, I think it is, because 137 we had the New Year's Eve one. And yeah, it's 138. I explain how that Grammy nomination piece of music materialized, manifested, and what's in it. And there was no studio, no microphones, no studio. I don't know what the hell Paul did to get that level of voices from us. I don't know. I didn't have a mic. It was in a room. I don't know. And then I sent it to Mark and he put reverb on it. That was it. It was zero money. It was all done on Facebook Live. That was it. So don't tell me you can't record an album without a studio. We're in lockdown. You can do anything. And what I'm saying to you, do it now. Do it now while the vibrations are insane. You're going to get Doors material coming through. You're going to get Pink Floyd coming through. You're going to get every Bach and Schumann and Van Gogh as a painter. It doesn't matter. Painting, singing, dancing, acting. What other creative things can you do? Put your ascension into it and let go of all those layers. Let them come off. Bring your rage. Don't apologize. Don't be nice. Don't. I'm telling you now, don't be nice. If you can get that out first, feel it. What does it mean to be horrible? How does it feel to not want to apologize? Fuck you. I'm not apologizing to you. You fucked up my life. You destroyed whatever, yada, yada, yada. Why should I apologize to you? I want to use that in my art. Can you imagine what it would feel like when you go back and you exercise everything in your art? I was directed to do this today because I'm in a similar situation with an album I'm going to be creating with someone who we've had huge issues and anger and God knows what. I'm not apologizing, and neither is that person. Good. I don't want to apologize. I want to feel that can be used in music. No one's ever done it. Have you ever seen a piece of music that was created? I suppose bands must have gone to studio hating each other and they came up with masterpieces. This is mind-blowing. You come up with a masterpiece when you're an artist. And you Van Gogh, look what he did. Van Gogh, in layman terms, he had serious mental issues, and of course he killed himself. He couldn't cope with it. He put it into his art and no one recognized his art. But listen, we know that doesn't matter. We're not Van Gogh. We're tortured. Artists are all tortured until we put it into our work. But we're living in a time now, we don't need recognition because we're going back into soul, into pure spirit. You can't have mental health issues when you're in spirit. You're nothing. You're pure bliss. Poor Van Gogh never got there. He got there when he was painting, Starry, Starry Night. Well, the words, he put it all into his beautiful drawings. Beethoven, poor guy couldn't even hear. That shows you don't even need auditory. You don't even need to have senses to create music. Beethoven, he was deaf. You don't need the body. All you need is the vibrations that the body uses again to create. Yes, you do need the body. That's not true. I cannot. Yeah, you do if you're a singer, for God's sake. Singers, this is our instrument. And I always say, my singing teacher used to say to me, Lauren, you have to look after it. And that's why I can reach top C without warming up, because I was so lucky to get singing teachers that taught me this is your instrument. This is your instrument. You must drink water. You must eat. You must sleep. You must breathe, because if you don't, then you can't use this instrument. This is your instrument. But Beethoven didn't sing. Beethoven used pianos, drums. Why do you need a drum? There's your drum. That's it. Just giving you general ideas. Here's a drum. Right? Beethoven used instruments from inside of himself. He closed his eyes and he felt that vibration that we're talking about. It's everywhere. The wars, the craziness, the fear, the panic, the crying, the screaming, the love, everything, which I can't say on moving on TV. Everything that we go through as humans is in that vibration of which is called music. Music, music, music. If you hear it with this body, then it's music. If it's a rustling, because it's music, as I proved it to you. This is music. I am talking to you. I am talking to you. I am talking to you. Why does it become music when I go, I am talking to you? And why is this not music? I am talking to you. I am talking to you. Why is that not music? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I am talking to you. Why is the first one not music? Because you decided. I say it's music. I say everything is music. Music is a high vibration. It is God. Because you don't need the body to experience music. This is huge. My father had a condition where he could hear angels sing and bands. Now, everybody said he was mad, and I said, no, he's not. No, he's not. He can hear angels. I was the only one who stood by him and said, Dad is not mad. He is on a higher vibration. It's not a condition. He hears angels. As he got older and older, Dad used to hear big bands and angels. He said, Lauren, can you hear Elvis? I can hear the angels. Mind you, that's not exactly apt at the moment, and I won't go into it, but can you hear? I can hear the angels. He would hear the angels. He'd hear choirs. He said, Dad, thank you, Dad. I can't hear them, but thank you. Because he was so auditory. He couldn't hear with his ears. His ears were rubbish. But he heard with this. He heard. That's music, right? He didn't need to have a good hearing aid. So I miss him. I'm very grateful that he's not here to go through this, because he wouldn't cope. Dad would never take medicine, he taught me. But he watched the media a lot, and he may have bought into the crap. But what I'm saying is, my father heard angels. And everyone said he was mad, and I said, no. Tell me about it, Dad. What do they sound like? My father was a starseed. He was one of us, and he's now up there working with us. My dad was special. Very, very special. All you need is love. My dad was a very special man. And if he hadn't gone through the shit he went through as a child, and if I'd been there, he would have been here now. He would have lived to be in his hundreds. He was an exceptional man. I miss him so much. But what I'm saying is, he heard angels. He actually heard choirs of angels and big bands. And everyone said he was mad. And I said, no, he's not. Why? Because he hears what you don't hear, because you're not connected to this, because he's not on medication. He would never take anything, never. He taught me. He used to say, God's up there. Even when he was dying, he didn't even remember who I was. And I tried to get him to take something. He'd look up and he'd say, no, that's the only doctor. And he'd look up to the sky, and that's the doctor. I was Dad. I'm sorry. There's not one day that goes by that I don't miss my dad. He was very, very special, unique. If it wasn't for him, he taught me everything in so many ways. He taught me to love animals. He was a very difficult man as well. He had serious post-traumatic stress disorder. I put him on sometimes talking about a cat has 9 lives. My grandfather was a violinist and an accordionist. Music has always been in my family. Music, 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 music. Musica. Isn't that interesting? I told you again, Hebrew. Musica. Open. Music. English is a closed language. English is not love. Hebrew is love. Musica. Right? Ahava. Love. Love. Buddha. Rama. Allah. Ah, ah, ah. Oh, we fly. Yeah? With ah. We don't sing. No. We open our hearts. Every chakra is open when you. It's impossible for the chakras not to be open when you're doing. It's impossible. Open. Open. Every chakra is wide open. Musica. Ahava. Open vowels. Glory. Lauren. Hope. Glory. King of Kings. You need to have add on something like King of Kings. It's interesting, isn't it? Look, it's not every single. I'm just giving you general ideas here. You know, heart vision, vision, vision. It's an open vowel. Vision, a vision. Yeah, heart, vision. But when you say it in French, it's vision. When it's in English, it's vision. English is a closed language, an enslaved language. I figured that one out. Jason Shurka says it because he's Jewish. He says that about Hebrew, and I've been saying that for ages before him. Jason Shurka. Okay, it doesn't matter. There's no competition here. There's no ego. He's a beautiful, beautiful angel that came here to do a certain job. We all came here to do, and he's going to be on Moving On TV soon. Don't worry. We're in contact. Tikva is hope in Hebrew. In English, hope. 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 Your clothes. You're wearing your mask. Hope. I'm figuring all this out through channeling. Hope. Tikva is hope in Hebrew. Flame. Flame. Lehava is a flame in Hebrew. There's so many words. Dad. Mum. Yeah, it closes you off. Abba is father. Ima. Yeah? Hebrew is open. It's an open language, like Italiano. Italian. It's all open. English is closed. You were told to shut up. English people are repressed. I'm sorry, but they're repressed. And that's why we don't have communities. Community, see? Open, community, glory. What else can I say? It's not love, it's love, or love. Open. You see what I mean, King of Kings? I figured that one out. Lumiere, that's where I come. I am Lumiere. Lumiere is my name. And how grateful am I that I can sit here in my dressing gown, looking just completely natural, no wigs, crazy, not crazy, just me, natural, no makeup ever, because I never wear any. Honestly, no makeup, nothing. Not any whatsoever, none, nothing. I just got out of bed. And I can sit here on Moving On TV, because this is Ascension TV, and everybody can come in, we can have pajama parties. Isn't that freedom? Freedom! Yeah? No, freedom. freedom. How do English people talk? Oh, hello, my name is... You see what I mean? Closed. Prunella. My name is Prunella. You've got to look at language and the way you were brought up and music. Look, there's so many things you can make into your higher power. But they've got to be things that are bigger than you, that can be molded and can't harm you. Like, for example, make food into your higher power, then you're going to fall back on food all the time. That's not a good idea, is it? Everything in balance. It's all about balance. But what I'm telling you here is to take your creativity and get rid of that balance. Like Tim Morrison. Yeah, okay. Sorry. But maybe that wasn't his real name. That's the name they gave him. Jimmy, the doors are open, wide. Welcome to the show. Okay, big, open vowels. A show in Hebrew, Hatagah. See? Mercy in Hebrew, Chemla. Ahava. Interesting, eh? Hebrew. The people that we feel can be the people that everyone wants to give a good shake to, as Baba Bertha would say, because of the situation in their country. And yet their language is all love. It's open, love and light. And what else can I say to you? Chanukah. All is light, or is light, or open, light. What else? Feya is a fairy. Feya. Yafa is beautiful. Yafa. Yafeh for a boy. Yalda is a girl. Yeled is a boy. Mishpacha, family. Chevra, community. See where I'm going here? Hebrew, light language. Open. English, house. Dog, cat. See what I mean? Okay, cat. But then cat is another issue altogether. But I'm trying to show you that a lot of words that actually mean something in the evolution of the spirit, in Hebrew, they're open. Neshama, soul. Yeah? Neshama. So, Shechina is the Holy Spirit. Shechina. Adonai. Yeah? Abba, Ima. Shamayim, sky. Shemesh, sunshine. Ahava, lehava. What else? I'm just trying to think of words that relate to awakening. So what I'm saying to you is take your creative art now, while we're going through ups and downs and ins and outs and everything all over the place, and use that in your creativity. Don't wait for Nasara and Gisara. You're going to miss your opportunity if you wait. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Do it now. While everything is raw. And it is. It's you know what I mean? Everywhere. Use it now. Get your piece of paper out, and that is your higher power, and put everything into it. Get your piano, get your guitar, get your violin, put it into it, because this is your chance. You're never going to get a chance like this again. The way the energies are, the way the planets are, the way the world is, don't wait till March. That's when we're going to get Nasara and Gisara, I'd say around March. That's when I always said that. Things are going to start settling down the end of January, but a lot is still going to be coming up all over the place. So the energy is now until March. That's the time you need to create that best-selling album, that piece of work that is going to be sold in every single gallery. Do you know what I mean? That Van Gogh, that big, well, Picasso, I don't particularly like. I think a child I could do Picasso. It doesn't, to me, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. But I'm talking about Van Gogh, I'm talking about Leonardo da Vinci, I'm talking about all these incredible, Who else is there? Bruegel. Anyone. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Some things people just say, a chicken could have run over this piece of paper. It doesn't matter. It's you. And if it's you, then people will pick up on the real gut rawness in it. It doesn't have to sound beautiful. If you're doing a piece of music, it could be like the cold song that I did. Because it was someone who was freezing in the snow. The cold song from Red Call. I'll put that on for you. You can watch it, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm the one who sings the credits, and it's because it's the body freezing. They told me to create something, and I felt this person was in the snow, freezing to death, and that was what I put into it in my singing, and that's what you do. So there you go. So before I do the cold song, I am going to do now for you a beautiful, gentle sound from Spirit to help everyone calm down. Okay? Because the nonsense that I'm watching look, guys, you're watching a film, all right? You're watching a film. That's all. Get your popcorn, as we were told, and watch. And just ascend. And do it with love for yourself first. And if you need time to be on your own, then take it. Don't do anything. If you can, you're very lucky. Because that's what you need, ideally, because it's just going to be a build-up of frustration. But you need to put it into something. That's what creativity is. God-given. You were given your creativity. Every single one of you has a talent. And look, you're watching. People are watching, moving on TV. And to me, that is like I've got people watching. About 10, 20 people are watching me talk because they know it makes sense. And if someone comes on here and says you're just an old bag in a dressing gown, then they're not on this consciousness, and Bob Alberto will get them to bob their juice. It doesn't matter. That's that part of me that believes I'm an old bag in a dressing gown. I'm ageless. I've given up my age. Me and Janie have given up our age, and you know it. I know that. Look, no one. It doesn't matter. It's just the body. And what I'm saying to you is take your God-given talents, bring them to moving on TV with everyone else, and then you won't have to have a whole night of Lauren. But I hope you enjoy that, because this is my, it's pretty good entertainment, me and Francis and Martin in Edinburgh. And, I'm really grateful I had all that archive to show you guys. Oh, it was so much fun to watch, but very, very painful. Because I'm not doing it. I miss it. I miss the stage because I love it. It's just pure ascension. When you're an actor and you're not on the stage, it's hard. It's hard not to be doing it. Right. That was the happiest time of my life. But this is a different time, and Spirit has called me to do something different in order to go back to that. I will go back to that eventually. Once we come through all of this, I'll be able to go back on the stage and do 1,000,000 times better work than I've ever done. But I'm asking you to bring everything, bring your core pain to moving on TV, but use it in a positive way to heal yourself and heal others. Don't use it just to say, if I make an album, this is not going to be to self-indulge myself. Yes, it's self-indulging in order to get to ascension, so then I can do my job of what I'm meant to be doing here, to win the prizes or in order to heal humanity, whatever. I don't know when to win the prize, the ego. But it's nice. It's nice to have a Grammy nomination. It's amazing. To come from raw emotion and hardly any technical support. How? I don't know. I'm waiting for Paul to explain it to me. I don't know how he did it. I've never heard anything like that without microphones and a studio. I've never, honestly, never. I've worked, as you can see, guys, I've been performing and recording from the age of probably 13 when we recorded. And there was always microphones. There was always a studio. That's how you worked, But he did it pure, and I don't know how he did it. And he did it on Facebook, and then I sent it to Mark. Now, Mark put the reverb on in the studio, and it cost nothing. It was free. So you guys can go out and do that. make an album, do whatever, make it on Facebook Live, do the same. But what I'm saying is, how do you do it? I don't know how to do it because I'm not technological as Paul is. I don't know how he did it. And so I'm waiting for him to explain that to me, because that's what I want to do. I'm not going to stand there with a mic and create an album. Nah, it's not going to work. The mic distorts everything for a start. And when I get into a studio, I get all nervous. I don't like working. I hate it. I feel confined. I want to be singing like wide open, like ecstatic singing, like ecstatic dancing. I want to be in a space where I can run around and I can, whatever comes to me, or sit or meditate or jump or whatever. I hate the confinements of the studio. I do not, if you're like me and you're an artist, you'll know what I mean. Going into a studio is confining, and they're usually very small and claustrophobic. And I never get the result I want, ever. As soon as you put that headphone on me, it's like, oh God, I can't hear properly and everything's distorted. You put those headsets, you know, what do you call them? You know, the headphones, King of Kings, whoever's on here. I don't like it because my hearing gets distorted and I always have to go lift it up so I can hear the backing track and hear my voice. I want to hear my voice when I'm singing. I don't want a headphone. I don't want to be in a studio. That's how Heart Vision was created. And I'm saying to you now, get a piece of paper. Now get a pen. Get carrots and tomatoes and draw with carrots and tomatoes, for God's sake. You know? Water mixed with carrots, tomatoes. That's it. You can make your own paints. You make your own makeup with beeswax, colouring. Get some colouring, you know, like a child. Throw the colours and sprinkle bits of things and make it like real. That's what I want to do with the next album I create. I'm not going into a studio. The only way I'll go into a studio is if the studio is mine. There's no one there except someone who's working with me. No mics and no machines. Well, you probably need a machine to record it on. But that's it. Nothing else. And then I send it to Mark, and Mark will do the magic. He did Ya No Estas. Ya No Estas, I recorded it here just picked up the mic and recorded it on my phone and sent it to Mark. And that's Ya No Estas. You know, we got Ya No Estas. He put the reverb on it. That's how I work. Because of lockdown, I'm never going to let anything stop me. I went to the lottery for thousands of pounds to create an album. Thousands of pounds to be able to pay him, to pay Paul, so that he could get paid. They wouldn't give me anything, bastards. So you have to get on with it. You get on with it, right? So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to do some singing for you now, very gentle. And as I'm saying to you, do what you want, but if I were you, I would use the madness of the world, the planets, the converging. Up until March, you're going to have a huge amount of stuff that's going to be coming up inside you to help you break on through into ascension, break on through to the other side by using the darkness inside of you. When I say the darkness, I mean your character defects, your angers, your resentments, your fears, your frustration, your jealousy, your envy, your addictions. That's, to me, is the darkness. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm not, obviously. This is moving on TV. Okay? That's what I'm saying to you. Tap into everything you learned from the time you were born and your past lives. Past lives, I go into the Holocaust. I already did. And that was Heart Vision. Heart Vision was the experiences I had in the Holocaust, whether it was me and Israel and the wars, whether it was me or was the ancestors and the genetics and the energy and the beliefs and the values that I was brought up with. All of it is in Heart Vision. So next time you listen to it, listen to the concentration camp, listen to the trains that take the Jews to the concentration camps. Listen to the sirens in Israel, the wars. Listen to the Irish accordion. Listen to Paul's Jewish renditions in the synagogue. You hear everything that Lauren was, that's taken Lauren to where she is. Everything is in Heart Vision. Up until a certain, well, it's got the Judaism, it's got the Irishness, it's got the Russians, it's got the Holocaust. So it's that past life in particular is in there. And as I said, when I lay on that bed, I even said to Paul, he should have recorded it. I said to him, "Are you going? I feel like you're going to experiment on me." And guess where that's coming from? Yeah, as a Jew. So you just need to understand what your art is and what's in your art. Okay, right. So I'm going to now do what I said. You'll take a so you can just relax wherever you are, and I'm just going to calm you down now with my voice. This is now very gentle because what I need as well. So I'm going to use this body in a certain way, the vocal cords, the same way as I would be playing a violin or the piano. I'm going to use my voice, whatever it wants to do, and light language or not, whatever comes to me. Okay, so to me, in order, if I want to wake you up and push you, I will go to the lower chakras from here to here. But I'm going to go from here to here. Okay? Because to me, that's going to be more calming. That's how I feel. If I use the base chakras, it will be like a lullaby more. Ahava, Neshama, Tikva, Lehava, Rama, Buddha, Allah, love, love. I love you. I love you. Amore, amora, amore. Chebaka, Chibuka, Chocolada, not chocolate, chocolada, chocolada. Open. Patuach, open. Sagur, close. Patuach. You're having a Hebrew lesson. Mora, teacher. Mora, teacher. More, teacher. Teacher, teacher. Mora. Milchama, war. Milchama. Shalom, shalom, om, salam, shanti. I love you. Welcome to Living on TV. I don't know about you, but I feel calmer now. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank God, it's 1:30 in the morning. I haven't eaten yet. As I said, I only got up about 11. Tomorrow's MOTV Jukebox, 5 till 7. I'll put the awakening now as soon as I can. Please watch it. It's similar to what we did here, except it's got the other bits as well. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to help, to do what I love, to heal and to heal others. To be lumiere, whatever is going on out there, I haven't got a clue. I'm going to watch and see what's going on, because I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the world. All I know is my world here. Olam, world in Hebrew. Olam, world. Olam, world. Olam. See the difference? Light language, open language, Hebrew. Amazing. Amazing. Shalva, peace, tranquility. Shalva, tranquility, calm. Shalva. Cham, cham, warm, hot. Kav, cold. Safa, language. Safa, language. Safa, language. See the difference between Hebrew and English? Safa, language. Language. Safa. What else? Hafsaka, rest or break. Hafsaka, rest. See how closed? That's what they want to. They close you. Hafsaka, open. Isn't it interesting? I always knew that Italian was a very open language because of the singing. Oh mio babino caro. That's how you sing. Oh mio babino caro. Open vowels. English, very close language, very close culture. Think about it. Very close, very insular. Mediterranean, very open. Oh mio babino caro. See the difference? I love you. I love you. I love you. Open. I love you. I love you. Close. Nishika, kiss. Nishika, kiss. What's wrong with the English language? Nishika, kiss. Chibuk, hug. Hug, closed. You could do a whole years and years of research of the English language and the Hebrew language. Amazing. Chocolada, chocolate. Sukaria, a sweet. Suka, sugar. Do you hear the difference? What else? This is exciting. Words that mean something. Chiyuch, chiyuch, out, smile, 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 I suppose is, okay. Chiyuch, chiyuch, smile. Okay, that's not a good one. That's okay in English. Smile, chiyuch, okay. But there are lots of words. Matana, gift. Matana, gift. Lev, heart. Lev, heart. It's not the same, it's close. Lev, heart. See the difference? Lev, heart. Closes it. Boom. Maybe not as much with that one. Sidra, series. Sidra, series. A TV series. Sidra. Chadashot, news. Chadashot, news. The difference? O, close. Televizia, televizia, television. Televizia, vision. There's a television, isn't heart vision. Vision. Televizia. See what I mean? What else? Sapa, sofa. Sapa, sofa. Safa, language. Closed English, open Hebrew. I'm sure Hebrew has come from the gods, from the light beings. It's open. Ahava, love. Love, love. Lahava, flame. Flame. Lahava. Tikva, hope. My name is Lauren Hope. Lauren Tikva, glory. Whew. Lots of different ways to express. I've got to go, guys. I love you lots. Go eat something and drink. And tomorrow we'll be on with MOTV Talent. I'll put on some encounters. It's already Thursday. I want to put on, what was I going to put on for you? Oh, Red Call. Yeah, I'm going to put Red Call on because I want you to listen to how I sang the Gold song. How I put that into it. This poor guy dying in the freezing cold. I love you lots. I'm going to try and edit the Awakening and then please watch that. Actually, what I'll do, I'll put it on here. The Zoom. No, I'll edit it. I'll put it on the eveyone TV proper. Okay? Watch Red Call while I'm doing that. Of course, I've taken out all my hard drives. I've taken all my hard drives. sides out right. What's this? Let's see. I can't tell that now because that's the webcam. We'll soon find out. Can I have red cord, please? Thank you very much. Right, it's another string. That one doesn't register. Okay. Let's try another one for you. I think this one does. Yeah, I'm going for that. Okay, your red call, please. Red call, thank you. Red call. There we go. Okay, I want you to listen to the way I record, the way I sang and played Red Call. This is based on someone who was a film about someone who was unfortunately buried in the snow, dying in the snow, and that's how I put what I did with my voice. Okay, so have a listen to that while I do everything I can to get the waking home for you.
Splitting from Regent Street. I'm on my way to Red Call, to the preview premiere of the film Red Call at the Regent Street Cinema. So follow me there. Today is July the 25th and we're going to a preview of a new film where I sing the credits. And the film written and directed by Steve Goff. So follow me. And upstairs, walking into Red Call. So we have Ruth Humphreys here, the lovely Ruth Humphreys, and it's really good to see you here. How are you involved in Red Call?
Yeah, I was part of the crew helping out on set, so I was doing some of the prompting and things like that for one of the days.
Okay, great. So it's really exciting to be here today, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's really exciting to see all the film come together and see it coming through as it's gone on. So yeah, wonderful for Steve. Yeah.
I can't wait till the end.
Well, of course, we're looking forward to hearing your song. Absolutely.
Right now, I want to see the rest. Okay, thank you, Ruth.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
I've got Peter here. And how are you involved in Red Call, Peter?
Well, my involvement goes back quite a while because I got involved with Steve when he was preparing it as a play for the stage, and through that I got involved with recording some of the stage performances and helping out with the script development. Okay. And then when Steve suggested let's make it as a film, a proper film, he invited me to participate. Okay,
thank you very much. Good luck for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's Steve, the writer and the director, who's invited us to the preview today, and it's so exciting to be at a preview. So, do you want to say something? How do you feel about tonight?
Well, it's the end of a very long process. It's taken, well, I suppose about 15 months to get here. Lots of ups and downs, but today it's great. I'm very pleased with the performances, very pleased with the creative contributions, the music, all aspects of it. So it's very much a collaboration of talents. And so one is, happy that people's abilities come together.
Fantastic.
Not everyone is going to love it,
Yeah.
Some may, some may not. But I'm happy either way. I mean, it's that stage where you're just glad that you've come through the process and people have been able to express themselves, the actors and so on, and people like yourself, with a wonderful song at the end of the movie.
Thank you. I've heard a lot of compliments, so I'm lapping it up. But the other thing I just quickly wanted to ask you is, what plans have you got afterwards? Are you going to try and get it on general release?
Well, we want to get into festivals. That's the main thing, is to try and get into some festivals, and then we get the acknowledgement because when you're in festivals, you have the film community there, you have distributors and so on. So we want to get it into some festivals and then build on that. Really, that's what one always tries to do. Maybe get a festival award or something like that. That's the aim, really. It's not easy because these days feature film distribution is hard, if you're not a big budget production, it's difficult. But you just have to have the energy.
Do what you can.
And do what you can.
We'll do what we can with moving on TV as
exactly,
well. So you
as you were
can send
doing.
this around everywhere, and you haven't got any other big media companies that are filming it, so I'm it.
Exactly.
In a nice way. Okay, take care. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know because I saw what Steve sent me quite a while ago, and you play the police inspector, is that right?
I'm a counter-terrorism inspector, yes.
Counter-terrorism.
Yes.
Okay, what's your name? Your real name?
My real name or the character name?
No, your real name.
Christopher Tajar.
Hi, Christopher. It's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So, how do you feel about making this film? Is this your first film, or have you?
No, by no means my first film. I've done a few films now.
Right.
No, it was very, very interesting. It was a great character to play. Very interesting character because it's not all that he makes out to be.
Right.
So it's an interesting character because you have to kind of like work out, how he's going to deal with understanding and getting through to this character and trying to work out and piece the story together. So it's an interesting character in that degree.
That's great. As I said, so how do you feel about being today at the preview?
No, it's always nice to see what happens because you just do the film. You do the film and it goes in the can, so that, the term the can. You forget it. It's over a year later, by the way. So sometimes things are altered, sometimes things are cut, so it's very nice to see, sometimes it's very nice to see the finished film because it kind of reveals to you what the film is going to be.
Hey, there I am. Music. Nadine Reddy and Lauren Hope. It's a lovely room country.
Oh dear. So do you catch the train to Johnson?
I've done that before when I like to go by across the manor, to go by Brentford.
I think he's made it. And I want to get him up here just to ask you a few questions before we start so you see the context in which it was made. But we really appreciate you all coming and joining us. Steve. That call had a long journey and an interesting one, and this is the first time we're really going to test it. And we also hope to hear your opinions about it afterwards. But it started off as a play for the White Bear Theatre, which you wrote for them 2 years ago. Can you say a little bit about how that happened?
Well, I wrote a script, actually, the very first draft of the script was a film script, oddly enough, but then I tried to develop it, and as often happens in the industry, it didn't take off. So we thought about it as a theatre production, and I had a very good friend who was keen on setting up fringe theatre productions, and we were able to do that. And it was a lovely experience. It was a great show. I think we had excellent reviews at the White Bear Theatre in South London. And when we looked at all that had been done, particularly the performances and the direction of the theatre piece, I thought, well, this is something that could, be a film again, and that's how it began. But that's just to do with, obviously there was the subject of the film as well.
And that's the thing I wanted to ask ask you about, because the subject is actually about a volunteer Samaritan, and you also are a Samaritan.
Well, I was for a number of years, and it may sound a bit strange to say it, but it was a great experience. It was a very enriching experience. Obviously, sometimes a very painful experience, but it was something that stayed with me. I left after about 10 or so years, rather the same length of time as the character, actually. I felt that there was something there that I wanted to work through as a writer, and then there were other elements that came in, the theme of terrorism, which will, when you see the films... Yeah,
we can talk about this after, but
yeah.
okay, but I was really getting at that, how much of that experience...
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like to say about it is just that it was great to work as a writer from an experience that I'd really been right in the centre of. Because very often as a writer, if you're adapting something, you're working at one remove from your subject. But to be working from something that I lived through over a long period of time, and I knew it very much from the inside, and I felt it was in my hand. I was at the Central London branch, which is the biggest branch in the country, and it was right in the middle of Soho. So you felt you were right at the centre of things, and dealing with an enormous range of people with different backgrounds, and it was a powerful experience over a long period of time. I really wanted to write about it.
Well, soon you'll see the very talented cast who were in the play, but were you involved in casting the actors?
Yes, I mean, I didn't have the pivotal role. I came in as a writer. I was just the writer on the production, and I came in as a writer on the auditions, and that was fascinating, and very, very, again, very enriching, because we met some lovely cast members who went on to be in the play.
Okay, so like many people who went to saw it, I remember saying to you after the performance, you should film this, and it's terrific. And when you decided to film this, how did you go about making it?
Well, it was funny because initially it was let's have a record of the film, of the play. But very quickly that idea went, because as you will see when you see the film, it's very much set in a real world. It's not in a kind of theatrical world apart. And so once you introduce real locations, you enter into something quite new. And then there was a challenge of making it a film rather than just a recording of the play, which is perhaps better talked about after the experience before. But then the other thing to say about it was, I started, I called you and I called Peter and Yoram Tembrink, who can't be with us today, I must say, played a very important, I want to just mention Yoram, who's linked actually with this cinema, because he was one of the people in the cinema. He played a very important early stage, so I just want to pay. He can't, unfortunately, he's not well, so he can't be with us. I just want to pay tribute to him.
We then had some meetings, and we discovered actually we had no budget. And being on classes, we always think the solutions. But somehow, how did we solve that problem?
We just went ahead and did it.
Okay, we went ahead and did it, so 84 minutes of film.
We didn't pay people, I hasten to add. It wasn't an exercise in exploitation.
We're still paying them all. It was one of the nicest collaborative I've ever had in my working career. You enjoy it, and I think, obviously from a content point of view, I think it's fantastic, and we'll be very interested in your opinions afterwards or comments, and thank you so much.
But I would, there are other people here, including the original director of the stage production there, and many other people, the music, and so some people that have really done a great job. So.
Derek, where are you?
Derek, come on.
I read the script when I auditioned for it. I loved the character. I just feel like she's just so real. I don't know. I really liked the dimensions of her. And yeah, she's really wounded, and I was just really interested in exploring that, and also exploring, I think, somebody that puts on a front. And you know, why do we help people? Why do we work? You know, why do people work at call centres? Is there something that they're hiding? You know, so there's lots of things to explore with the character that I was really interested in, and then it was just lovely working with everybody and playing. And actually, the filming was really interesting because we didn't have very long at all. And we just, you know those takes. The whole of that first bit was a 60-minute take, one take. And we did it 4 times, including a rehearsal that I just went, can you just film it, because we might have something in the rehearsal. So it was really full on. It was amazing to work like that. I really enjoyed working like that, and I'd love to work like that again. But I think, you know, yeah. Anyway, can I just pass this on now? Thank you.
Same, general question. What was the question? How do I deal with different? The contrast in the script. I suppose. Obviously very heavy subject matter, very current, and I suppose it was my job to provide a bit of relief, which I think I mixed success personally, but mother-in-law, I think she deserves credit, really. So I think it's our favourite. And echo about the filming style. It was crazy to do, but really quite beneficial to work that way. You just don't worry about anything because it's all happening around you, and it's all broken up. So, thank you.
Hi, okay. It was just so exciting to hear my singing coming from this massive, big screen inside the cinema. Never ever happened before, and I really wish, Steve, that you get this everywhere with this film, so we can all get the glory that we all deserve with the wonderful film he's made. And I'm very proud of myself that I did this. So thank you, Steve, for giving me this opportunity. I love you lots. Thank you. Signing off for Moving On TV from the Regent Cinema here in London. And when it comes out, don't forget to go and see Red Call. It's a brilliant film. Thank you. Power of the who from below has made me rise unwillingly and so from its I can scarcely move or draw my breath, can scarcely move or draw my breath. Let me breathe.
I'm Joost. I'm an associate producer on the film, and I loved your singing at the end. I think it really focuses the meaning and content of the film in a way that's... Well,
thank you so much.
Steve's very lucky to have you as a neighbour.
Oh, thank you. We're good friends.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Welcome to Moving On TV. My name is Lauren Hope Glory. I'm the proud CEO of Moving On TV, the TV station that gives you the hope and then the glory. Now, this is our mission statement. Our mission statement is that you have always got a platform for your talents, your dreams, your work, and it doesn't involve money. It involves connecting and bartering, because if you can't afford it, you barter. And you go out there and you promote Moving On TV. You come on here and do your own shows. Moving On TV's mission statement is that you will never, ever sit on your own in your house and think, oh my God, I have this amazing singing voice and no one will listen to me. I've got to go and stand in a queue. That's not going to happen anymore. That's the past. But I'm going to have to stand in a queue for hours and hours and nobody will care about me. And I'm just a piece of meat and I'm just a voice. I'm nothing else. To us, you are unique. You are unique mind, body, and spirit. And we will take you and we will hold you and love you. And that's what Moving On TV is. Because I can't be anything else. That's me. That's why I'm here. And because I will never, ever let you suffer the same way as I did to get to where I'm going. Okay, so that's my mission statement. The mission statement of Moving On TV is we are humanitarian, we are love, we are compassion, we are consciousness. We are here for every single unique human being, whether you clean the streets or toilets, or whether you're all the same. We're all equal. We are all equal. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have a dream, if you have a mission, if you have something that you want to give, come to Moving On TV. This is the news. This is the new news. And when we can, we will give you the truth bit by bit, little by little. But we will wake you up so you can find it out for yourself. Okay, so watch our programs and you can see what Moving On TV is. We are a TV station, not a channel. We are a TV station, just like BBC and Sky and ITV. A real TV station for everyone. Come on board Moving On TV, the TV station that gives you hope first. Tikva in Hebrew, hope, means it opens your heart and it makes you feel that you're here for a reason. It gives you a reason to get up in the morning. Tikva, ahava, light language. I love you. If you don't get this message, then you're not supposed to be on Moving On TV. We come from Christ consciousness and we come from somewhere else. Aquarius. And so this is your TV station. Join us. Come on board Moving On TV. You can contact us at movingontv1@gmail.com. Ring us or text 07437 532 798. I protect Moving On TV with the violet flame and the angels and all the light and all the beauty of Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and all the leaders that came, Gandhi, that came to show us the way, to pave the way. Nothing enters Moving On TV unless it is based in that consciousness. I love you and thank you. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2021. Bye.
This is your day now, your day to shine. Take back the gifts you have and make the world your shrine. Make it the best you can. Make it about you. This is your day now, baby. Go out there, make your dreams come true. A flower who got through the storm.
Welcome to Moving On TV. And today I'm going to be interviewing an incredible person, a good friend of mine, a Unity advisor, a BAFTA-winning director and writer, and a patron of Moving On Theatre, who's always been there for me, supported Piaf and Maria Callas and all my work, the lovely Steve Goff. Now, the last thing that Steve did was a film called Red Call, which won the Welsh National Film Festival, and I did the song in it, the Cold song. I was really excited about that when we won. And so I'm going to bring on Steve now and talk to him about his career, about some of the stuff he's done that led him to Red Call, about his belief system, which is unity, which is Christian Science, metaphysical, and also a little bit about his life and how things are going and what else he's got planned in the future. So, as I say, it's very exciting to interview someone who's multi-talented and also films and edits. And so welcome together.
Lovely to be with you, Lauren. I'm honoured to be part of your interview series.
Thank you, Steve. As I already said in the introduction, you've always been so supportive of everything that I've done. You came on as a patron for Moving On Theatre, and of course I did the song in Red Call, which I introduced as that was basically probably the last thing that you managed to do before all of this madness down and stuff. So, where are you at the moment? Are you at home or are you at...
I'm at home. I'm just going to close the door because it might be a bit noisy. Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Of course, you don't have to be going out often.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm at home at the moment, yeah.
You're at home at the moment, okay. Because I also introduced you as a Unity advisor, Unity prayer line that you basically... So this is part of your belief system, metaphysical, Myrtle Fillmore, Christian Science. But let's go back a bit. Let's go back to the beginning. So where were you born? And do you want to tell us a little bit about your childhood? So, what were your influences that led to becoming the artist that you are? You'd like to tell us a little bit?
Like I was born in Wales. I was born in South Wales, just in a little place called Gwala de Garth, which is a Welsh name. It means the top of the bottom of the Garth. So it was a little village on the side of a mountain, just where the Welsh valleys begin, where the mining valleys begin north of Cardiff. So my childhood was sort of part in the country and part in the town. We had a lovely woodland behind our house, so it was very rural in that way. And I used to go up into the woods to play and so on. That's where my sort of imaginative landscape emerged, really. But then we were close to Cardiff, close to a big city, so there was that aspect to life as well. One of three brothers. I was quite anxious as a child, Lauren. I mean, I had my ups and my downs, and writing and the imagination, maybe like you actually was a kind of source, finding strength when the world was getting a little bit too much. So
sorry, Steve.
Go on.
Sorry to stop you there.
That's right.
Keep you focused on the question. So, how old were you when you wrote your first piece of work?
Oh, well, I started writing as a teenager. In terms of film, if you're thinking of the film work, which was really where I began properly, that was quite a little later, actually. I went to film school at about 30. I'd done other things in the meantime. I'd done community activities, done street theatre, actually. I did a bit of street theatre in the 70s. But I went to film school, so it was really in my early 30s that I began to write for film and to direct film, because I directed in the early days.
Okay, so what was your first piece of work?
The very first was a student piece, which won some awards. It was well received. The first proper piece of work, in a way, was the biggest thing I ever did. I started, like Orson Welles said, because Orson Welles made Citizen Kane. He said, when he was a young man of 25, he said, I started at the top and I've been working my way down ever since. And that a little bit describes me, because my first thing was probably the biggest thing I did, which was the Tony Hopkins thing, which was a BBC One film, but it was feature-length film. So that was in 1989. And interestingly, yesterday, I got this great big check from my agent, royalties for Heartland. 30 years later, I've forgotten all about it, and I get a check. So it's still got an audience. I mean, it's on YouTube, and it has about 300,000, I think, something like that, views on YouTube. Anyway.
Okay, so this was Heartland.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about
it. Was a story. It was about. It was based on my background in Wales. It was about a farmer in a remote part of Wales who is finding life very difficult, and some government inspectors come to look at his property, and he kidnaps them. Because he wants people to understand what he's going through, and he feels that the government doesn't understand him. And so he keeps these two government officials in a barn, like a kind of terrorist act, really, although he never is cruel to them. But he just wants them to understand him. He wants them to know what he's going through, and eventually just lets them go. So it's about a man, a family man, a Welshman, in a crisis in his life who just wants to tell the world what he's going through.
Okay. So
and that's the Hopkins character.
How much of that is you?
Well, I certainly the idea of roots, of Welsh roots, and of then a kind of alien world that kind of threatens your roots. That's something that I grew up with. I mean, there are lots of other things that play a part in what I do now, what I write about now. But certainly that idea, the love of nature is important in Heartland and is important in me. I mean, right up to and particularly with green movements now, those sorts of things. So I have a great feeling for nature and the spiritual power of nature. That's something that's very big in me.
Okay, so going back a bit again, our work is usually a culmination of things that we've gone through, experiences that we've gone through. So again, through another perspective, how would you be able to talk more about that? How did your work contribute to you being able to express things in some way?
You mean in terms of living in this world of sort of coping, as it were?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mechanism, creativity, as we know.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the big things that's always been there in my work is the difficulty of people of being unable to communicate the deepest things that you feel. In Heartland, he wants to make these people understand what he's been going through, and he can't make them understand. I then made a few years later. I made the other big project I made, a film called Eveyone, which oddly enough is showing today, this afternoon on London Live. They're running it. Yes, Jane ran up to tell me. She said, "Oh, it's on TV." I mean, it was made a long time ago, but it gets rerun every so often. That's about a young girl who, growing up in Wales, who finds a German airman who's parachuted down and is injured in a wood, and she befriends him. I mean, it's like two people across the divide of war trying to communicate with each other, and of course they don't speak each other's language, so it's about two people trying to communicate who don't understand their language, and that's been something that's been in my work all the way through, this idea of people wanting to communicate and not being quite able to, or struggling to communicate.
Now that interesting leads to Red Call in some way as well.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because she tries, she tries to tell them what happened about, this is about a terrorist incident in London, and a Samaritan volunteer talks to the terrorist just before he commits the crime, before he explodes the bomb, and it's on many levels it's about people trying to communicate. I mean, the terrorist is trying to communicate whatever we feel about terrorism. He's a human being, he's trying to communicate, and of course there is actually a question mark whether he was really a perpetrator. He may even have been innocent, but she's being interviewed by police, and she is trying to tell them what she experienced, and they have another point of view. They are investigators, and there's a battle there between two sides, where one side doesn't quite understand the other side. So yes, absolutely, it's in Red Call.
So you've got that similarity, and also what I'm noticing is that your characters are very strong. They're standalone characters. Is that right? Is that how you usually write? Where you've got those strong characters like in Heartland, in Elena, and now also in Red Call. Most of the focus of the films on these characters. What is that?
Sorry? Why?
Usually write that way, yes.
I don't know. I think I tend to. I love characterization. I think a story often begins with a character. I mean, there's a film I'd love to make. I haven't raised the money yet. I still hope I shall. Of course, COVID is interrupting everything. But that began with this is about a mother searching for her child, her child. Searching for the body of her child because she lost her child 30 years before, who's a victim of a serial killer, and the body's not being found. So she's wandering the hills looking for the body of her child 30 years later, and she's using a dowser, a water diviner to help her to find the body. But that idea of this poor woman, she's now 70 years old. She has an oxygen tank with her because she can't breathe properly. COVID kind of adds. I mean, I wrote this before COVID, but this whole idea of respiration, she can hardly breathe, but she's determined to find the grave of her young daughter. And she does in the end. So those kind of strong characters, I love. And when I read books, I always search for the strong character, And in your work, Piaf and Callas, that you begin you begin with those strong characters, and I that's what resonates with me: a strong central character that pushes the story along.
Okay, so that takes me back to you being a very young child as well. Do you feel that through your writings you're communicating something that maybe couldn't be communicated when you were a young child? Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, I sometimes find when I write a scene, this might be years later, I realize that it has a meaning that I'd never quite realized in terms of me as a human being. A lot of my films, my work is in the countryside. Heartland is in the countryside. Elenia is in a woodland. Of course, I grew up next to a wood, and this new one, I mean, this is on a mountainside or in a mountain range. And so those times when I was a child and maybe I couldn't cope, and I used to run up into the wood to sort of find solace in the woodland, in nature, those sort of things remain very much there. And as I say, sometimes I'll write it and not realize at the time, only realize much later that there is a connection that I didn't quite realize. It's unconscious. In other words, it coming from my unconscious.
From your subconscious.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go even deeper than that. Because obviously I've seen Red Call. I must watch the others, but from what I could see, that character was quite alone, and again, did you feel that in your childhood maybe there was no one to turn to, that you didn't have that support system where you could actually explain how you're feeling or get your feelings out in some way? And that's why your characters, because as you said, when we write, we put everything into our characters that must be coming from the subconscious as well. So again, I'm kind of exploring a little bit from what I know about the lead character in Red Call. It felt like she was very alone, searching, and she didn't have that support. She had everyone was kind of battling against her most of the time. And this huge need to be heard, this huge need to communerate. So were you shy?
Yes, I was quite self-conscious. I was quite nervous as a child. School was quite difficult for me when I was a child, and I mean, in terms of family, my father had suffered from very serious depression all his life. I mean, serious depression. He had multiple shock therapy over a number of years. And he was a very quiet man, and I think that sort of quietness, his inability to talk about what was happening to him, and it was not just us. I mean, you can imagine a father doesn't necessarily want to share with his children what he's feeling like in those situations. But I don't think he shared it with anyone. I think he kept it completely, because he was a very quiet man, literally very quiet, didn't talk very much. And I think that sort of atmosphere in my childhood had an impact. Yeah, although my mother was very vocal, but then there are two sides to me, because I talk a lot. Doesn't take a lot to get me talking, but on the other hand, I'm fascinated by characters that can't talk.
Okay, so that's really interesting as well. So how, again, as a writer, have you used any of your family or characters that you grew up with in any of your films or any of your writings at all?
Well, I haven't just made films. I've published 2 novels, not small publishers. I mean, they're not sort of in Waterstones, sadly, but they were published a few years ago. And one of the novels was based on a family, not so much with my own personal family, but with my cousin, and that's a very tragic story actually, because it's a story of a suicide. So yes, I have done. I mean, I'm not really a sort of directly autobiographical writer. I tend to sort of find, I think when you're in the film business as well, you're always looking for a kind of, like a thriller or something that has an accessible surface, and then you can put your obsessions within it. So, for example, with this film that I'm hoping to do, it's called Ordinary Time, about the mother and the child. I mean, what really interests me is a kind of mythic thing of this kind of mother searching for a child in the middle of nowhere. But it is also about the effect of a serial killer, and there's a kind of thriller element. There's a police, there's a detective, there are other characters. So it works as a thriller, but in its heart, what I'm really interested in is this woman searching back into her past for the child that she lost.
Interesting. Is it a little bit maybe you searching for your own inner child?
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe.
But it must have been very, very difficult to grow up with a father that was so depressed, as you say. I mean, how did that affect the dynamics in the family for you?
Oh, it was, no, I mean, there was a whole period many years ago, actually. It's not so much now, when I was very preoccupied by that period. When I, like in dreams, in terms of dreams, I'd been dreaming constantly of those years when I was living at. By that I mean when I was 8 or 10 or 11, that sort of time, or 12 or 13. Oddly enough, I don't dream about that very much now. But certainly it was quite an anxious childhood. Not just me, my brothers. My eldest brother committed suicide. David committed suicide a number of years ago now, which was very, very sad. And he had some serious psychological issues, although he's very successful as a businessman. And my middle brother is also quite an anxious character. We did have an anxious childhood, and I think it probably was related to my father. The other thing about my father is that he was a conscientious objector in the Second World War, which was a very, very unpopular thing to be. And he was ridiculed at the time for being a coward and so on. I mean, he didn't do it because he was a coward. He just did it because he was psychologically incapable of fighting in the war. But they did take him to court. So I think that had cast a shadow. I mean, that was never talked about when I was growing up, but that's another aspect, a kind of sort of rather melancholic aspect to growing up.
What happy memories have you got?
Oh, I've got loads. I mean, I don't want to give the impression that, I mean, I've got, that was the thing about childhood. It was a kind of melancholy, but then there were shafts of great happiness in nature. I mean, it was really the walking up to the mountain, going to the seaside, to Wales. And my father said to me once, he loved going to West Wales to bathe. He was a great swimmer, and he said the only time he lost his depression was when he was swimming. When he would dive into the water, the depression completely lifted as he was swimming. But then when he came back on the beach, the depression kind of came on him again. So, but yes, so I mean, I've got lots of very fond memories, memories of other family members. I mean, it's quite an extended family in Wales. So I have memories of seeing my aunties and some lovely memories. And I'd love to go back and live in Wales. I mean, I don't, my brother is much more sort of wants to push the past away from him, but I'm different. I want to sort of encounter it, really.
So, okay, so you're moving on. You're very impressionable, obviously, because you've been through so much already, which has affected you. I have to ask you this question because I know a lot of people are going to ask because you were involved in the film world. And nowadays, as we can see what's happening with the world and what's, you know, people are discovering things that are not so nice that go on in the film world. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to go into it too deeply. How did you stay sane and keep away? Or did you get involved in, I mean, the addictions like maybe drinking or...
I was, well, I...
into that in some way, Steve?
Well, I mean, I did have a drink problem, and I've been sober for a number of years. So that, and certainly in the 1980s, when I was struggling to, I mean, Hotland was 1989. So through the 80s, I was sort of struggling to get my first big project off the ground, and those were my drinking years when I was drinking far too much, and then I you know, got some help and got into recovery and haven't drunk for 30 years. So certainly that. As far as other things about the film business, I mean, the film, I remember a lot of my work has been writing. A number of the projects that I've done has been writing projects. I haven't had such a lot of experience of actually, you know, being constantly on set or in a big studio situation. That world of the film studio and all the machinations that go on in, you know, the Hollywood film studio or in, you know, in Shepperton Studios here. That wasn't part, because I was always involved in independent filmmaking where you were working with smaller groups. So that wasn't really toxic. That wasn't a toxic. It could be. I mean, being involved in the film business, like any creative industry, and I'm sure you know this. You know, it's not terribly wonderful for the emotions sometimes, because it's like a roller coaster, because you can be up in the, you know, something can happen and you're up in the sky, and then next thing you know, it doesn't happen and you're down in the dumps, and then you go months and nothing happens. So it's a very unstable world.
It is. It is. The other thing is as well, I mean, you're so talented. You're extremely talented. I mean, what you write, you know, I've asked you at times to do press releases for me, just try. So I feel that people, sometimes you get held back. Do you feel you were held back in any way in life with your talents? I mean, you won BAFTA awards. Do you feel that doors should have flown open? Looking at me,
it's a difficult one, this, because it's such a competitive. Yeah, it would be easy to say. I mean, and I do spend time, you know, when I'm not in a good place, I'll think of all the things that almost happened, and if this hadn't happened, why, you know, because I came very near to making some very other big films, and like a lot of people, and you know, this is not a great big claim. You know, there's 3 or 4 or 5 times when I thought another feature was going to happen and it didn't quite happen. So there's plenty of scope for getting downhearted about that. But at the end of the day, it's a road to hell. If you get self-pitying about it, if you get obsessed about it, if you get sort of racked with envy about what other people, because the other thing is very easy. Sort of look at the newspapers and see this dreadful film opening in the West End and think, why did they get the money to make that ridiculous piece of junk? And I spent all this time making this script that everyone says is wonderful, but we can't raise the money for. You know, so it is. We don't live in a very just world, and it's the same, you know, with you and with theatre. You know, we've all got these projects that we, you know, really hope will happen, but sometimes they don't. We have to, you know, to an extent, we have to accept it and just move on. Otherwise, you go mad.
I think, you know, I'll give another perspective, and I know because of your spirituality, you're going to understand what I say, that when you do look at what's going on in the world at the moment, a lot of that is going, the old system and the old world, and you were protected. I believe we were protected. And I do believe that it is coming, that whatever it is your dream, it's all going to happen. It's all coming now. But moving on to going back a little bit to the drinking, if you don't mind talking a little bit about that. So you got involved in the 12 steps.
I don't want to say too much about this because, of course, it's an anonymous program and we're not supposed to. I mean, I'll talk in general terms about it, but
yes,
that's my only. I don't want to. There is a tradition that you don't really sort of.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, 12 steps. So,
I mean, it's a fantastic program. Well, it has. I mean, it's changed my life. I shouldn't hide that fact. It's been a huge influence on me. I mean, spirituality was always important to me, and it's always important to my work. But getting involved in a 12-step program was the most significant thing I ever did, and probably ever will do. And it's informed me in many ways, and creatively. Not in a direct way, but it's kind of been part of the sort of inspiration of writing now, and remains so. I mean, it's quite interesting actually at the moment because, as you probably know, a lot of these 12-step groups have gone online because they can't meet in rooms. But it's absolutely, you were talking about, we're living in new, possibly fascinatingly different, resurgent elements in our time. And one of them, I think, is what internet 12-step groups can do, because it has provided an enormous new opportunity for people to reach out to each other through Zoom, through what we're doing now.
Amazing, absolutely amazing, as you said. Coming back to Steve. Okay, so the 12 steps, that's an interesting one, because I know the 12 steps really came to believe in a power greater than myself. And I presume everything that you've been through as a child and everything, what was your concept of God? I mean, did you even have a concept of God until you got into the 12 steps?
No, we didn't. We weren't church going. We were sort of agnostic, so I never went to church. And I mean, I always considered myself spiritual, but I don't think it didn't really have a direct impact on my life for many years. It was a kind of vague thing that I like to think, that I believed in spiritual things, but really it only came with encountering the 12 step, and it's that step 3, turn your will and your life over to a power greater than yourself, and because it's a program of action, so you're not just thinking about it inside your own head. You're going out and doing things. You're performing your spirituality. You're acting it in the world through whatever you do, prayer line and you do in all that you do. I know that.
So it helped you to stop drinking. I mean,
absolutely. Oh yeah. I mean, that's it. Well, it was the crucial thing. It's the crucial thing.
Why do you think it works?
That's the $1 million question. I don't think anyone quite knows, because I think it is a mystery, and I believe in mystery, and I believe that you can say a lot about how it works. I mean, the 12 steps is an amazing way of looking at your life and analyzing your past and trying to make amends for things that happened in your past. But when all is said and done, it's a lot more than that, and it is the intangible thing. It's the kind of connection that people get. People talk about identification, where you identify with, you listen to someone talking about their experience of drink or drugs or whatever it might be, any kind of addiction. You listen and you identify, because if you've been through a similar thing, and that bond of identification is a very powerful thing. I mean, I often think of that in a way it's a kind of archetypal thing, like people sitting around a campfire, you know, in ancient times. It's like we're returning to that archetypal thing where we really do share our common humanity. Whereas in the modern world, so often we're isolated from each other, and 12-step programs enable people to come together and share. I mean, that all important word, share. You know, and that is an incredibly spiritual thing, and God is in that encounter, you know. And that's the case also with art, because art is also sharing, isn't it? It's like I am offering you this, and then you respond to what I'm offering.
Yes, yeah. So again, going back to the 12 steps, one of the biggest things about the 12 steps is, of course, taking responsibility
Yes.
for your own life.
Yeah.
And, you know, step 4, as I say, I've done you around food, and with me, codependency and like that. Amazing, absolutely changed my life completely, led me to, you know, everything. And so it's all about taking responsibility, and step 8 in particular involves making amends, as you said, and forgiveness, self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others. So were you able to talk to your father about your childhood?
No, I mean, my parents had long died, but I mean, the thing that I went, the biggest thing that I did in terms of amends with my parents, because they'd already gone, was I never, this may sound weird to you, but I didn't go to the funeral of either of my parents, not because I didn't want to, but because the family around me didn't think it appropriate for me to. It's bizarre. It's quite bizarre.
Your family.
It was thought when my mother died. I'll tell you this. When my mother died, my father couldn't cope with the fact of going to the funeral, so he didn't go to the funeral, and neither did we, because, you know, we were sort of there with. So I didn't go to my mother's funeral. When my father's funeral came along, it was like that's what we were going to do. Again, we weren't going to go to the funeral. I mean, I'm not trying to evade responsibility. If I'd been strong enough, I should have said and that's why the amend came along. I ended up not going to the funeral of either of my parents, and boy, did I suffer for that, you know, because that's a terrible omission. Not because it's wrong, but because emotionally it makes no sense. You're not encountering the death of your own parents. You're not.
Okay, can you explain that? Were you brought up that way around death? Was it something?
I mean, even as I describe it to you, I don't quite know how it happened. I mean, with my mother, it happened in a very real way, because my father definitely didn't want to go to the funeral because he couldn't cope, because he was depressed. So we all followed. That was easy. But when my father died, and hey, I mean, this was 1976. I was an adult. I was in my mid-20s. I could easily have said, we should go to the funeral. I didn't. It was almost like, this is what we always do. We don't do this. We just stay at home and have a little service. Or it wasn't a proper religion. It's like we just sat in a room, but it's no way to deal with your parents' death. And I suffered for that. I mean, I paid for that, and including the drinking. And then eventually, as my amend, I went back to where the ashes were scattered for the first time, to the place where both my parents' ashes were scattered. I don't even know who scattered the ashes. I went there and I stood there, and that was my amend.
That must have been very powerful.
Yes.
Very touching. You know, you said a word there. I'm going to actually ask you about that. You said, I should have.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. So you weren't born like that. Somebody taught you those beliefs. Picked that up somewhere. And why should you? You know, it's more like Tay says, I would if I could. It's such a word, and I could see the sadness, and there's regret in there because of this. Good. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's why I was dreaming about. You know, I said to you, I went through this period where I was dreaming a lot about my childhood, and I think the reason I was doing all that dreaming was because this was unresolved. That this had happened, but my mother died in a very unfortunate way. I mean, anyway, that's our long. I won't bore you with that, but it was a tough death. My mother's death was a tough death, and yet we weren't able to go through a proper grieving at that time for all sorts of reasons. Didn't even go to see her grave. So yes, there's a legacy there. There's a real legacy.
Yeah, death is an interesting one. We weren't even allowed to say the word in our house.
Sorry, you
We weren't allowed to say the word death.
really?
Yeah, no, you weren't allowed to say it because my mother and grandmother went through so much. But anyway, it's coming back now. So basically, we are the product of all these identities, and we talk about this when we talk about borderline.
Yes, yes.
And so did you go through mental health issues? Would you say?
I had anxiety.
You said anxiety.
And I still take tablets for I take antidepressants. And I know you have a feeling about drugs, but that's and I did too for many years, but they just worked for me. I did all. I went through very bad anxiety. I have done in sort of key moments in my life, and about 10 years or so ago, I had another period of very serious anxiety. I thought the whole thing was, I thought my life was sort of crumbling. And I did all the things you do. I did therapy. I talked to my sponsor. I did all the things, but it still didn't quite work. And then eventually I went to my doctor and he said, well, try these. And they worked. And I'm not very proud of that because I don't like the idea that chemicals can help you. But I have to say these particular chemicals have worked very well with me. And so I still take them. But yes, anxiety has been the big thing. I haven't ever been hospitalized or anything like that. But I've had lots of therapy in years gone by, mainly around anxiety.
I mean, I believe we're all shocked, and post-traumatic stress is the one that I feel we all have. No, I don't believe in medication, but everyone.
I know, and neither do I. But except that
what they have to do.
Yeah.
If it works for you and your body's strong enough, then you never say. But to me, everything's coming from childhood, all lives. And the minute you can connect to that, that's my experience, which I'll tell you about another time. Boys and drills that were going on, and I managed to take myself back to being 5 years old in the garden.
Really?
Empath, and that's where it was. And the minute I felt it, cried about it, that was it. But that's my work. I've been doing it, but I never ever say to anyone. Everyone, as long as it makes you feel better, the main thing. I just want people to be happy, be able to cope with things.
Can I just tell you one thing?
Yeah, go on.
About it's actually going. It came to my head as I was listening to you just then about how very deep, very archaic things can come back into your life. And we were talking earlier on about things in the writing and in the story that related back. And I discovered something only about a year ago, and it's about Red Call. So it's something you know this film, and you may or may not remember that there's a strong beat in the film. There's a rhythm, and the character actually says, as she's describing the phone call that she had from the terrorist, and she there's something in the background like this rhythm, and she says there was something. It was not quite like music. It was like a thump, thump, thump. And then in the music of the film, you hear the thump. Thump. The whole project was the actual. I had this terror when I was very young. I had to do with a beat, a thump, 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 and when I did do some therapy, and through a little bit of regression work, I was born in a car. Yeah, I was car because they got my mum to the hospital. They didn't have time to get her out of the car, so I was actually born in a car. So I was actually brought out of my mother's body in a car, and I think it's quite likely that I had a problem breathing, coming out into this kind of. Cars were very small in those days. Austin 7, they're tiny little things. So you can imagine my mum must have been sort of contorted, and this child was coming out because the therapist, I worked through it with regression work, and trying to breathe, my heart trying to breathe. So even in this film, or 70 years later.
How interesting. You see, yeah, but the thing is, 70, I didn't realize you were 70.
Yeah.
You don't look it. The thing is, I've gone back to the womb. That's how I lost my brother.
Really?
Baby knows everything. The baby remembers everything.
Mm.
Everything. So that was in your subconscious, and somehow it came out through the film in some way. You were using your creativity and it came through. That's absolutely incredible. So with everything that was going on with the anxiety and the drinking, this is before you recovered, it must have affected your life, your relationships, because you were married before, is that right?
Yeah, no, the first marriage was very tough, and that's when I did most of the drinking. So I mean, the 80s were my sort of dark years, really. Married to this person, we weren't, we got married under special license in a fortnight. We fell in love and we didn't know each other at all. We were smoking cannabis and drinking. I got married, and then I realized within about 6 months that it was not going to work. We were so different. And then, but we stayed together 11 years, during which time I was drinking and also struggling to get the film business going. So those were the dark times. And yes, I mean, to answer your question, yes, relationships, that was a very difficult relationship. Eventually left and eventually got divorced, and now I'm happily married, as you well know. So it's a very different story now. But those were tough years.
Of course, it's going to affect your relationships because you can only bring to the table what you know.
Yes.
You can only bring what you know. You can't move on until either someone helps you move on or you feel it and hear. So carrying on from the 12 steps, so you've moved on from that. And how did you get involved with Unity?
Well, it was quite curious. I took on a little bit of clerical work. Because the film business is a very unstable thing, and unless you're unless you're a member of a very small club of say 50 people who can really earn a lot of money and never have to worry about money. Most people in the film business, in the creative industries, you go through times when you're not working. And for a lot of my life, I've done teaching work, film teaching work. But then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and so I left. I just decided this was all too much. So I left, and I didn't have much income at that point. And Jane, my wife, was working for Unity, and she said, "Oh, there's a job going, licking stamps at Unity." And I thought, well, why not? Why not? And it was really interesting because I started work there licking stamps, and I really enjoyed licking stamps because it's lovely to do something without any responsibility. It's really nice, and the people were really lovely. And then I started bringing my own, as you know, I started bringing my own media skills into Unity. They needed to have support, and so I kind of created my job in Unity, doing all their media work, which I love doing.
So did you get involved in the actual philosophy of Unity?
Well, the thing is, Unity is very close to 12-step spirituality. And so that's really, I suppose, one of the sort of little links. So I've never been, to be honest with you, I've never been that interested in the sort of intellectual side of Unity. There's a lot of sort of Unity teaching, Unity ideas. I'm not so interested in that. I'm very interested in the practical side of Unity, the prayer line, meditation, retreats, and the sort of experience side of Unity, the experience of opening oneself to one's inner spiritual nature, and doing that in different ways. I'm not so interested in the 12 powers of man, and a lot of Unity originally came out of the 19th century, the transcendental movement, and there's a lot of sort of philosophy attached to Unity, and I'm not so interested in that side of it. I am interested. It's not that I don't like ideas. I love ideas, but I'm not so keen on those ideas. I find them a bit too rational. Yeah, I like the mysterious side. I like the the creative side of it, really.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm picking up about you as I'm talking to you that you have this incredible open-minded creative side, but there's also a side of you that's quite for rules and regulations, and you like to be in control.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you have to, I mean, you have to, don't you? I mean, you know, the thing about being in the arts is that you have to have the creativity, but you also, by God, you've got to have some organization as well,
Yeah.
because you've got to, you know, because you've got to go to meetings, or you've got to editing is the one, you know, I know you edit a lot, you edit your films, and that's you know, you've got to be organized for editing.
Yes, you got to go over it quite a few times.
And be patient. And
but I'm noticing the picture behind you. It looks like a Hierophant.
This one.
Yes, that to me that looks like the Hierophant, which is all about rules and regulations and control, and it's perfectly straight. When you first came on, everything was a little bit lopsided, and now everything looks perfectly straight. That picture, what is that picture?
It's there are three pictures in this room by the same artist. She's actually one of my heroines. She died sadly in AA. She was a wonderful person that I met in the rooms, and she was an artist, and I got three of her pictures here. It's actually just a picture of a. She wasn't a. They're not very mysterious. That's a sort of picture through a window. And then there are two pictures. One is of a park. She's a sort of realistic painter, but she has a lovely. You would have liked her. She had an amazing character. She was very wacky. She's a very wacky lady, and she loved dressing in interesting ways. You would have got on with her fine.
I bet. Okay, so just interesting that Unity, telling people about Unity just a little bit, is based on Myrtle Fillmore. Healed her body when she was told she was going to die at a very young age. She loved her body back. She sat and she told every cell how much she loved them. And how synchronistic and congruent is that to the way we're living now? She go to the doctor to get a remedy for whatever this virus is. You have to go inside. You have to look for your own answers for everything now. And so it's very, very congruent with the teachings of Unity. Very congruent.
Yes, it's interesting. I mean, Unity, the numbers of people that are going online for the online meditations is increasing quite significantly, which is really good. So I think there as far as now is concerned, we're obviously living in. I'll ignore that. Don't worry. I'll just ignore it. We're living in, you know, chaotic and mysterious times. Who knows what's going to happen? But like you, I feel there are enormous possibilities in what's happening. Yeah. There are also huge dangers. I mean, there are huge.
I think we're basically like when we're in the allotments. You've got these awful, massive dead roots, and what we're doing is we're getting them all out. We're getting them all out, and so it's 2020. We're all seeing everything, and because we have to. It's the only way we're going to survive now. We have to see everything. So, in some ways, it's a blessing if you can see that. If you've got spirituality, you see, if you hadn't got in to the 12 steps, then Unity, and if I hadn't, I'd probably be hiding under a couch now.
Oh yeah.
Go anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm not fearful about what's going on. I'm sort of fearful in a sort of general way about what might happen to mankind or indeed nature. But I'm not fearful from a personal point of view. One. I mean, I suppose a lot of people have said this, but it always strikes me as fascinating that a virus, a tiny little virus, can bring down the great hubris of mankind. You know, all our incredible, all our amazing technology, and this tiny little virus can just come along and go wham. We've got you, and I think that's telling you. It's telling mankind. Don't be so proud.
Exactly.
You could be
don't
brought
play
down.
God.
Don't
play God.
Absolutely, don't play God.
So yeah, I believe there's a massive message behind it, and as we're so creative, so how are you using this time? What are you doing with yourself? How are you using?
Well, I've been
on the prayer line, but.
Well, yes, those activities continue. I've been writing. I have a little shed, like you have your little shed on your allotment. I have a little shed in the garden that I've refurbished, and I'm doing some writing in there. I'm having Zoom meetings about trying to get projects off the ground. I'm in good shape. I mean, I went through a sort of little period of feeling anxious about everything and getting a bit claustrophobic, but I suppose everyone has had those ups and downs. It's a very, people say, it is a very strange and mysterious time, fraught with, I don't know. We don't know. We won't know for a while, I don't suppose. But I'm staying active. I'm good. Generally, I'm in good shape.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So what are you writing? You said you were interested in.
I've been actually writing a novel. That's what I'm writing.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yes.
Has it got a name yet?
It's called. I think it's going to be called Triangulation. 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 You know where you triangulate to get.
Yes.
It's three incidents bearing on one character. It's a kind of thriller. It has a political surface to it, but it's also, like all that I do, it has a kind of deeper thing going on as well. Okay. But I'm enjoying doing it. It's quite sort of racy on the surface. By racy I don't mean sexy so much, but it's quite sort of fast paced and quite sort of like a kind of thriller, like a Dan Brown thriller. I hate him as a writer, but well written, I think. But it works in quite a sort of popular way. But underneath, I've got these other things going on. So I'm enjoying it. I love writing prose as well.
Fantastic. Well, I have to go. Just a question just came in before the question that Martin asked me about your influences. But before that, again, why do you think that some people, as I said, again, it's that big question of, and I'm not saying this to hurt anyone or to hurt you. It's just questioning, because I asked until now, as I said, after all your successes and your BAFTA winning, why do you think some people that have very little talent get the breaks? What do you think makes this happen? What are they doing? Are they in a club, a certain club? Or is that why, or what do you personally think, Steve?
What do I think about that? It's I spend a lot of time thinking about that. I don't know whether it's very good for me to do it. I think I said to you, I've done quite a lot of film teaching through the years, and one of the things I discovered through film teaching is there's a hell of a lot of talent around. There are a lot of talented people, and which is sad that so few people get through, and because you're aware of people that you meet and you think, God, they're a really interesting person, really fascinating ideas, and for some reason it doesn't succeed. I don't really know, apart from saying that, yes, luck plays a role, and the zeitgeist, of course, it's, the right sort of, the right kind of storytelling at the right time. I've sometimes felt that I'm a little old-fashioned in my storytelling. But certainly now, I mean, I'm 70 anyway, so of course I'm old-fashioned because I'm getting old. But I mean, I did feel for a period when I was not quite getting, other projects that I was hoping for, that maybe I wasn't quite writing the sort of drama that people wanted to see, because my dramas tend to be sort of mellow and about individuals. I mean, I don't do street drama. I don't do gangs of people rushing around. And I love that drama. I'm not criticizing it. I absolutely love that. When it's well written, it's fantastic. So that kind of gritty, modern, multi-character, The Wire, that sort of rough and tough stuff. I've never been able to do that. My characters tend to be more loners. So maybe I'm not telling quite the right stories at the right time. And I think that's the case for so many people, not just me, loads of people. I can think of many people that I've met in my life who I regard as hugely creative, and they just haven't made it, and it's really sad. I mean, I've had success. I can't complain. I've had success. I've had awards. I've had prizes. I've had TV. I've had cinema. I've had novels, plays, you know, I've done a lot. So I can't complain. But and you do think of other people who, you know, who really struggle and they're very creative.
I think that the world has gone in a certain way, as we can see, where people very base idols that have appealed to something that wasn't in here as well. And now that's falling. All of that idol system is falling. And I think that what do you think would happen if bartering came in and money went? Do you think
Money went, do you mean?
If money went and bartering came in, I think 90% of this culture would be gone. And that amazing 10% of talent that you talk about, there, as you said, there's huge amounts of talent that I tap into, like with encounters. God, if and when that ever happens, I've got stunning talent and they're everywhere. But do you think that if they took away the money thing and it suddenly became about you rather than how much you get paid, it became more equal and more about sharing and spirituality and love? I believe 90% of the whole business has collapsed. I believe it already has. And I do believe that in maybe not the near future, because we've got a lot of cleaning up to do, there's going to be a place for every one of us. And that's took back moving on TV. And I'm the happiest I've ever been. I haven't done anything, but, you know, I got a bit of a lottery grant, but I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Fantastic.
Doing this. And as you say, you've got your creativity. And could it be that people that are so incredibly talented because of what they've been through in life as well, they, for some reason, they weren't always given that business mind? Something that you have to learn, or you have to bring on someone else that can do, because we're so excited about our work. Our work is everything, the marketing and the creativity, that we're not really, you know, that everything else is kind of like whatever, it'll just happen. Do you understand where I'm coming from here?
Yeah. I certainly think that in order to be successful as an artist in this world, you have to have the creativity, you have to have the steel, a little kind of bit of steel, organization, but also steel. If I am critical of myself sometimes and I say, you know, if only I had this quality, I would have done better, is the steel. Because I sometimes I see people, one or two people I know in the business, who've got a certain real strength, inner strength, and you can see how that has worked to their favor. There's a couple of filmmakers that I know, you know, who are very vulnerable people. They're very like you and I. They have been through a lot in their life. Very vulnerable, very sensitive, very creative. But there's a little bit of them that's absolutely tough, and and I think that impresses people. I think sometimes I'm a little bit too malleable. I don't know. But to respond to your point, I think so. I think we all need to have these different qualities, and it's just sad to see some people. I always remember there was a student I was teaching many years ago who did this amazing film of which was she got these. You'd have loved this film. She got all these actors to go into animal costumes, and they played out a sort of animal drama in a woodland. So it was all these people wandering around, and it was absolutely mesmerizing. I loved it. It was a 10-minute film. I've never heard that she did anything else. You know, I think, oh, she had such imagination.
Had so much fun doing that, but she loved it.
Oh yeah, she was a fascinating character, but I think she was probably a bit too wacky, you know, and you've got to have that steel.
Or you've got to be, well, a lot of people have been used as puppets. That's what the system has been, and as I say, I feel that a lot of that is falling, because empires always fall, and so this one is. Now, Martin wanted to ask you, what were your influences? Did you have any influences at all?
In terms of film?
Your writing, your filming, your filmmaking, your writing, anything at all?
Well, when I was a film student, there's a filmmaker called Tarkovsky. Do you know Tarkovsky's films?
Sounds
Russian
familiar.
filmmaker. He made a film called Solaris. That's the most well-known one he made.
Familiar. The name
And he made other films. I mean, he was a great influence on me. He's an amazing filmmaker. Not a lot of people know about him in the West. He's an extraordinary filmmaker. I was influenced by those great filmmakers of the 70s, Scorsese, Coppola. Those are sort of, and then there are the French filmmakers, Renoir, and so there were a lot of filmmakers around in the 70s that I loved. Yeah, I mean there was a whole kind of filmmaking that was going on in the 70s and 80s that resonated for me.
Okay. And another thing is, because you're multi-talented, and nowadays it's actually good to be multi-talented as long as you focus properly on what you're doing. You know, a lot of us are multi-creative.
Mm-hmm.
What do you love the most? Writing, filmmaking, directing? What's your favorite?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, the thing I've done most in my life, and I suppose my first love, is writing. Directing is probably the happiest experience you can ever. You can also have the most unhappy experiences directing as well. I mean, it goes both extremes. Yes. But if I could, there are a few times directing that I thought, wow, this is the most extraordinary experience. You know, when you see an actor bringing something to life, and then of course when you see the rushes and it's all cut together, and you know, that is an extraordinary experience, and one is very lucky to experience that, and then to see an audience sort of watching it and, you know, go through that whole process. But writing is the thing that I do most naturally, and I'll do compulsively. I'll always write, you know.
So you don't need to plan, you just get in there and do it.
I'll always write.
Schedule, because I'm writing my life story, but it's...
Are you? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And the lockdown put a bit of a what's it in the middle of it, because you got confused with what's going on, but the synchronicity is incredible, because in 4 years everything fits. But I'll get up in the morning and jump up and do Moving on TV. Just boom. That's, you know, what I love more than anything. So coming back to another question. Have you ever acted at all? Have you ever done any acting?
Well, I did. I don't know whether I ever mentioned it. I was in quite a big film a year or so ago. Did I ever mention this to you?
You said it.
This was the film that the Souvenir, which was in Sundance and got the best film at Sundance, and has had rave reviews. Joanna Hogg, is the director of the film, likes to use real people rather than actors. And I knew her, I didn't know her that well actually, but I knew her a little, film school connections. And she needed someone for a particular kind of role, and she just contacted me and said, would I like to do it? And she uses improvisation a lot. And when you said to me about, you know, the different things that you do, and of course I hadn't mentioned acting at that stage, one of the things and I was thinking about the sort of most fascinating experiences I've been through. That was one of the most fascinating experiences I've ever been through, which was being on set doing quite a major scene. I mean, I've got a scene sort of 3 or 4 minutes long with quite a lot of dialogue. It was all improvised in this major feature film. I mean, full release, everything. Came out about a year ago. And I mean, the next one as well is coming out because it's got delayed because of COVID, but it should be out early next year. Souvenir 2, because she's made 2 souvenirs.
Okay, so you've got lines and everything?
I've got lines, under my own lines, because it's improvised. In fact, I'm even in the trailer, Lauren.
That's amazing.
I'm even in the trailer. But that was, I mean, I remember, I must tell you, I was terrified. Not the first time I was terrified, because it was just like, you know, I'd never done this before and it was all new, and I was just kind of like a little child, I suppose. The second time I went up, I was absolute bag of nerves. I thought I was going to have a heart attack in the hotel the night before. I thought, I'm going to have a heart attack. I was so fearful. And then the fear all sort of drained away when we got close. But they were miking us up. You know, they put these radio mics on you, and this incredible activity around you. You know, this great big crew, huge crew, everyone doing their job. You know, all these top professionals doing their job, and it was such an extraordinary. And of course, I've been involved in filmmaking from the other side, but when you're actually acting in it, and people bring you coffee and but it's so extraordinary, and then of course, you know, they shout action and you go and wham.
Wow.
And then you go into a dream. I mean, I'm sure it's the same with you when, you know, when the curtains go up, and then you don't really remember too much after that until the curtain goes down again. You think, wow, I did all that.
The anxiety before I go on stage, absolutely bursting to go to bursting. And the minute you go on, the mind takes over.
It's amazing, isn't it?
As long as I don't drink too much. I have to keep my drinking down.
It was really funny because in the 2 minutes before, because these was long takes, we're not talking, and they were improvised, so they were long, like a 20-minute take, multiple actors around. This was a kind of boardroom thing around a table, cameras, you know, more than one, multi-camera, all these people. And I'd been absolute a bag of nerves the night before. When 2 minutes before the take, I was completely calm. It was extraordinary.
Right. Yeah.
The human psyche it's
mind
very
over matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love it. The mind is so powerful. But how's it going with Red Call? Because obviously we won the national
the Welsh Film Festival. It's just.
And what happened after that?
Not a lot. I mean, it's online in America. I think they're making sales. I don't really know. Here I've tried and failed. It's not a happy story. That's a whole other conversation. You know, distribution is, and if you don't have stars, distribution is so tough.
Like I say, hopefully that quite a few around as way, and there will be. I'm sure that you will get the glory that you deserve. We all will. But before we go, I've just one more question: is if you had a time machine, would you do anything at all different in your life?
I don't think so, really. I mean, I don't think so. There are lots of you know, you'll always worry about could you have done that, and when one became very near to making a film, what would have happened if I'd made that film. But all in all, I'm a happy bunny. I really am, and I, you know, even when you haven't succeeded in certain areas, it's opened up other areas. Like Unity would never have happened if I hadn't been in that position where I sort of didn't do any teaching anymore, and Red Call came out of nothing. You know, lots of things come out of nothing. And this, you know, doing this acting experience, which was amazing, came out of nothing. So yeah, absolutely. No, I think I wouldn't change a moment of it.
I think it's
and seeing your plays. You know, your wonderful plays. Fantastic. That's all part of the story as well.
I think it's time really that we need to start building more trust, because today I was just sitting in the allotment, half an acre of land for £20 a year. I mean, Martin and I this time last year, so we were saying, Steve, it's all about trust. And as you said, you wouldn't change anything about your life. Just to finish, say we've got someone who's a writer or a filmmaker, and they're very young, because there's so many out there, particularly nowadays. You've got all these new souls. They're so creative and they're so incredible with what they're going to come up with, these incredible stories and incredible creations, you know, novels, films. What would you say to them if they were just starting out now? I know it's a different world. It's going to be, please God, it's going to be a better world for them. But until that happens, and now they've got this incredible dream, like you, like me, to go out there, I know what I would say. What would you say to someone? It doesn't matter if they're young or old. and they've got a dream to do something, what would you say to them? What would be the best advice that you think you could give them?
Well, certainly, go for the dream, but I think, being true to yourself and taking the time to be aware of yourself and not be cowed by what's around you. I think it's very easy to try and please the world. I'll please people by telling the story I think people will want to hear. But if they've got a dream, if this person has a dream, then explore the dream, be rigorous about finding out what that dream is, interrogate the dream, be professional, but follow the dream, but be confident and open yourself to the truth of what that is. Don't be influenced by what you feel you ought to do for the work to please the world, because I think people pleasing is another side that can be a problem in the creative area. We want to please an audience.
Of course.
I mean, of course it's lovely to please an audience, but if that's our only mission, then it's a disaster.
It's not worth it.
No, absolutely not.
You have to, like I put out that crazy Baba Bertha yesterday, because she's, it's just saying everything's stream of consciousness. It's just so easy and so amazing. Do you have any characters like that? Have you ever written a character like her, where you just get like Piaf, kind of stream of consciousness?
Well, I've got another thing that yes, I have. I mean, when certain characters that I invent are very voluble. I've talked a lot about these characters that can't communicate, but I have one or two characters that jabber away, the whole time.
They're based on anyone, Steve?
Probably based on that part of me, And
yes. Well, this is the thing, as when you're creating a character, I call her Baba Bertha because my grandmother was.
I love that name. Yes, I remember you telling me that.
The Irish
Baba.
and the Russian is in there. And the whinging, and but most of it is I think there's a lot of Piaf in there.
I love the bit about banning the number 5. I love the
some of my dad's, some of my mother. There's a mixture. It's a mixture of everything, and you just let it flow. And
it's lovely.
Exciting, isn't it? When you're in that zone, like when I sat in that shed. And I was just sitting there, and boom, it was just me, the jokes. They don't come at me, as I'm talking as Lauren, but it's like you go.
Yes.
Medium.
That's the mystery, isn't it? That's that amazing mystery.
Right, aren't you? Or create. Sorry.
I say that's the wonderful mystery that can be born in you, and it's like it's its own entity, and you just follow it. I mean, it's lovely, and those are the most authentic things I think that we create that have their own life. We just follow them.
Maybe that's what we're meant to do now, because I'm starting to believe more and more there is something called God. There is a creator, and it's got us. It's us. I think it's got us, because I think from what I can see, a lot of those people that are trying to hurt us are falling. They're falling bit by bit. And we're getting stronger and stronger. I mean, the people I'm interviewing, ordinary people that are going out on Sunday to bring families together to end experimentation on children, but let's not go there. It's ending. They will end it, and that's because people are doing what we do. People are able to tap into that intelligence, that higher consciousness that they weren't allowed to do. Now they can, and open their minds and understand that the human race has got something. It's called spirit. And that's what you and I know. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we do. As I say, I do everything. I have absolutely no money, no support. Get on with it. Just enough really to keep it going. But you just do it. It's something drives you. Something
absolutely
drives you. And it comes from here, and it's full of joy, and I think that's why I trust that the human race are going to be okay.
Absolutely. No, I
tap into that. They're starting to understand what we learned, created beings. I think they were held back from being creative, now they're starting to understand that that's who you really are. Human spirit and creativity and breathing all goes together, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So if you hadn't been a writer, just questions keep coming. If you hadn't been a creative being, what do you think you would have been? What would you have done?
I come from a family of teachers. One of my early ambitions was to be a university lecturer. That sounds like a very boring answer, but that was my. I'm just trying to think. That's a good question. What would I have been? I don't know that the writing was there very early. I think I began to sort of think about writing very early. So I don't think I've had another one. If there's another one, it's probably something rather like you, working the land. Just working the ground. My father was a great gardener, and I have to say I'm not a good gardener. But I think if there's another life that I could have lived, completely separate from this one, being on the land and working the land, because I just have to walk out into an open space to feel the earth around me, and I absolutely love that.
You're happy. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't know anything about gardening at all. I'm doing it like the 12 steps, one step at a time. This is what you do. You clear the ground, you take all the roots out and the stones, you water it, you put a bit of fertilizer in. So one step at a time, that's it. And I'm going to make a program about that, so people.
Sounds wonderful. You should do your own alternative gardening program. You really should.
Steve, it's been incredible talking to you.
Fabulous.
You.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm so grateful for your support. You've always been incredibly supportive for me. You've given me incredible reviews.
I can see the talent, and we follow the talent.
Thank you.
All right then.
You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the evening. I think.
Thank you.
6:30 now. I just heard pouring with rain out there, so the plants are going to be happy.
Okay then, Lauren.
So you take care. Lots of love, and love to Jane. Take care.
Okay. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
A flower in bloom. She's all around. She lights up the room. Her colors are strong. The love inside goes on and on. A flower so bright, with just one smile, dark turns to light. Her heart opens like a rose, and deep inside, her love it shows. This is your day now, your day to shine. Take back the gifts you have, and make the world your shrine. Make it the best you can. Make it about you. This is your day now, baby. Go out there, make your dreams come true. Got through the storm. She weathers every cloud that comes along. She's strong now, with beauty and grace. Look at her face. It's time now to go out and inspire.
Keyboards. And I've got some brilliant music for you guys today. Muggsy has sent me his whole Reverb Nation, So that's very exciting, very exciting. Now, where's the jingle? And what else have we got? Oh, we've got so much great stuff for you. All these great new songwriters. We've got Joey Wise's new single, which, come on, what's it called? I can't remember. I'll have to check in a minute. A whole new album that he's released called Icy Hot Winter Radio Songs. And guess who's on there? Me. A Grammy nomination for Heart Vision with Paul McDonald and myself. Oh, we've got so much great music coming up here from the bunker in High Wycombe. And then from about 9 o'clock, 9:30, I will be doing your favourite carols. Or maybe 10 o'clock. People have sent me their favourite carols. And so we'll be doing favourite carols. And of course, we don't know who's watching, do we, after yesterday? So this is very, very exciting. So guys, if any of the white Christmas hats are watching, if you know what I mean, that wasn't a very good comb down, Lauren, was it? Very obvious. I've got my hat back to front, just like Casey, do my DJ act. Okay, so let's get the jingle on. Jingle, jingle, jingle. Jingle bells? No, not yet. Let's get the jingle on and then we'll start. There we go. Merry Christmas Eve, guys. Whatever happens, you're having fun here with Moving On TV because I'm not letting you get away with it. Here we go. Woo!
Welcome to Moving On
Thank you,
TV.
Richard Murray. My jingle. Oh, I want to say thank you to all you amazing souls that have supported me in the last couple of weeks, and particularly a big shout out to my gorgeous Cara. I don't know where she is, but she'll come on, especially if I'm muted. And I just want to say thank you so much for the donation for the new webcam. But it's not the webcam, it's actually the computer. The USBs are total rubbish. And so I need a new computer. So if anybody fancies donating £1,000 for a good editing computer, be my guest. Anyway, let's move on to the best part of the show, which is, of course, the music. So we're going to start off with a Christmas song, an original by Dan Woodvine. I hope you're watching, Dan, because I'm playing your music. And this is called Christmas Time Is Here. Christmas time is here, guys. So let's put on Dan. Christmas time is here. There we go. Enjoy.
Snow is falling on the ground this time of year. Time to have your friends, time to find it. Hang out the mistletoe, start to show a bit of festive cheer for Christmas.
Oh, sorry.
Is here. Decorations starting to appear everywhere. A feel of celebration filling the air. Time for peace among mankind, our turkey and mulled wine, all coming together for Christmas time. Time for opening presents, having Christmas dinners. Remember Jesus coming to pardon all sinners, spreading peace and love all over the earth as we celebrate the Saviour's birth. Santa filling up his sleigh to travel all around the world, on a special day for all the boys and girls. Time to ask yourself again, have I been good this year? For Christmas time is here. opening presents, having Christmas dinners. Remember Jesus coming to pardon all sinners, spreading peace and love all over the earth as we celebrate the Saviour's birth. See the green branches of the Christmas tree, watching over all the action is the Christmas fairy. Decorating tinsel our presents round underneath, for Christmas time is here. Christmas time is here. Christmas time is here. Christmas time is here. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Dan Woodbine. Christmas time is definitely nearly here. Well, it's Christmas Eve, guys. And I know it's an unusual Christmas Eve this year. And I'm sending all my love. That's why I'm doing this. I'm in the bunker, working for you day and night, just so we can remember what we really are. Okay? We are amazing. We are winning. We are creative, amazing beings. And in order to prove that to you, I'm going to play you some Sarah's Hope to get going, because this is my band. This is Aunt Sarah. And if anybody watched our program on Sunday, then you know how amazing Sarah is and the work that we put into this. It was filmed in a graveyard. And this is the signature song of Moving on TV. And I had a meeting today with Sandy. He's our social media expert now. Yeah, we've got someone. And we were discussing the best ways to get Moving on TV out there. And so you're going to see big changes coming in the next couple of weeks. And also, I've changed the video. You've now got the promo video. So as soon as you go on there, you don't see Piaf looking for money and advert for money. She's looking for advertisers because she will not perform. She will not wear makeup because she wants to not wear any, because it makes her feel nude. That's actually a line from the show. Anyway, welcome to the MOTV Talent. Lauren, this is not your show. This is the show for every single amazing new songwriter out there, including me. Where else do I get my music played day and night? And this is Sarah's Hope, Not All Alone. Oops, I do that.
And I will shed
You're always on my mind, circling round my brain. It happens all the time. I close my eyes and a vision will appear. Wish that you were next to me, but you're no longer here. Wish we were together, not all alone. Wish we were together, not all alone. I really cannot take. Want to break the barriers that you and I would make. There'll always be a part of you down deep inside. In the corners of my heart, you're always on my mind. Wish we were together, not all alone. Wish wish we were together, not all alone. I try to follow all the cycles of the night, up and down the feelings go, I know it is right. Reaching out to touch your love, but emptiness is here. Wish that you were here again. You'll always be there. You'll always be there. The cycles of the night, up and down the feelings go, I know it is right. Reaching out to touch your love, but emptiness is here. Wish that you were here again. You'll always be there. I feel the cold of night go trembling through my skin. Bar the doors and windows tight so I won't let it in. All alone. The trees have finally shed their leaves and winter is here. So our love will slowly die and I will shed a tear. Wish we were together, not all alone. Wish we were together, not all alone. Wish we were together, not all alone. 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 Not all alone.